Hello, welcome back to slightly different Britain's Hidden History, because I realise I've been neglecting my primary focus, which is Wilson and Blackett writing. And I usually spend ages putting all the graphics together, all that kind of thing. You just don't get enough videos out like that. So if you can put up with me just talking, it's only a short one, because what I've got is some random notes and like short essays and things, which to my knowledge has never been published. And I read that and I try and get them into different books, which is my main job. And there's a little interesting one here about foundation sacrifices. So I'm just going to read directly from what they've written, okay? The practice of burying a sacrificial victim as the foundation sacrifice at the construction of a new building was anciently a worldwide practice. This has been studied and listed by scores of eminent scholars, and the ritual was by no means peculiar to ancient British religious customs. The victims could be either human or animal. The best known stories of foundation sacrifices are probably those in the Jewish history book of Joshua, chapter 6, verse 26. After the capture and destruction of the city of Jericho, Joshua bound the Jews by an oath that they would never rebuild the palace. The terms of the oath were stark and clear, declaring that anyone who might venture to rebuild Jericho would have to lay the foundations at the cost of his eldest son, and that he would then have to set up the gates at the cost of his youngest son. Centuries later, in the reign of Ahab, the city of Jericho was rebuilt by Heel of Bethel, as recorded in 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 34. To meet the greatest religious oath laid down by Joshua, the rebuilder Heel sacrificed his eldest son Abiram and his youngest son Segib. He actually paid the price. The idea appears to be that the spirit of the sacrificial victim would be trapped for all time to act as a guardian for the new building. Alternatively, if an animal was used, then it would serve as an offering for the wandering spirits of demons or even long dead ancestors who might otherwise enter and bring bad luck and evil into the building. Popular tradition remembered that the foundation of many ancient Syrian cities was marked by the sacrifice of a maiden. This was said of Antioch and of Laodicea and others. In the old Arab version of the travels of St. John, the son of Zebedee, the story is told of a young girl being buried alive under the foundations of a bathhouse because the building was threatened by an evil spirit. Up until relatively modern times, there was a persistence of these ideas, and in the Eastern Mediterranean, a new Turkish bath building had to be rendered immune from accidents and untoward incidents by the inaugural sacrifice of a foundation victim. The unfortunate victim buried alive being a Negro or Sudanese slave. The custom is well attested in European folklore. In Papua New Guinea, it was the recent custom to sacrifice 2 expendable old persons whenever a new men's house was built. The village communal house of males was thought to need such protection. On many occasions, archaeologists have recovered substitute images and clay figurines from beneath Palestinian and Mesopotamian dwellings. Yet at Giza, infant skeletons in clay jars were found beneath the buildings around the totem site of a row of pillars on a raised platform. The same finds came to light at Megiddo and at Ta'anek. Human sacrifice is not at all unusual in the ancient world, not least in Palestine. In the Judges' history, chapter 11, verses 30 to 40, the story of Jephthah, the Gileadite of Israel, tells how Jephthah vows to make a human sacrifice to Yahweh if the God grants him a military victory over the Ammonites. The victim is to be the first person to greet Jephthah when he returns home, and this turns out to be his favourite daughter. Identical stories are told of King Idomeneus of Crete, who prayed to the sea god Poseidon in a storm at sea, and then had to kill his own son as the first to greet him ashore. Meander the Greek, a son of Cercaphos, and Anaxibia prayed for victory over the people of Pessinus in Phrygia, promising the Great Mother that he would sacrifice the first person to greet him when he returned home. His son Archaeological came out first, together with his mother and sister. A pre-Mohammedan poem tells of the Arab king Al-Mundir of Hira made a vow to sacrifice the first person he saw on a given day every year. On one day, it turned out to be his own best friend, Abid. Foundation and religious sacrifices were anciently commonplace. There is therefore no great cultural shock in the story of St. Columba or of the burial at Cor Emrys.